Yo, what up? It's Kyle here. I want to make this video, kind of hit on some pointers. WWE has really been, like, bad. So much so that people are turning away from their flagship show, Raw, altogether. I know that, people are, complaining about, the ratings and being low and all of that, which to me, I've always said that ratings shouldn't matter, to wrestling fans. To the company, it should, but as long as, the product is entertaining and enjoyable, ratings really should not matter to you, the wrestling fan, as long as the product is enjoyable and entertaining. AKA ECW, AKA Lucha Underground, to name a few. ROH when it was, when it had its hot years. Um, basically, I just kind of want to hit on a couple of things on what I think WWE's problems are and what needs to change. I don't have really a list or a bullet point. I'm kind of like doing all this off the top of my noggin, but I want to hit a few pointers here and what I think is, WWE's current problem. Now, one of the things people always say that, which is notably true, that this around this time, around the season, winter fall season, WWE aren't not at their best. This is like their slow period. Creatively, viewership wise, financially, it's a low rut for them, when you get to the third quarter of the year. However, WWE have basically been clinging, on a thread in terms of just interest from fans, probably all year round. I see maybe since after WrestleMania, because even before WrestleMania, everyone thought, including myself, that the build was lackluster. The attention span just wasn't there. The creativity wasn't there. You didn't feel like you were getting gamed up for WrestleMania. Now, blessing in disguise, WrestleMania 31 delivered. It was a solid WrestleMania. I don't think anyone can say that this was not the best WrestleMania we've had in the last 5 years. Greatest WrestleMania of all time? No. Best WrestleMania from top to bottom we've had in the last, half decade? Absolutely. But just really since WrestleMania, they just kind of just been, and there hasn't really been any buzz, from WWE. So I kind of want to talk about a couple of things that I think that WWE's problems. One of the problems that they have, I personally think, is lack of star power. A lot of my subscribers, you guys have followed me for years, have had this channel for at least about 5 or 6 years now. You've always known I've made tons of rant videos. WWE needs to make stars. They need to make new talent, new talent, new talent. They have the talent now. They just are not making them into superstars. There's a difference in having a roster full of talented young athletes and having a roster full of superstars. WWE has a roster of talent, but not superstars. They don't have star power. And you go back to say 7, 8 years ago, from 2015 to 2008, the only main folks that they've had has really been John Cena and Randy Orton that they've have invested in. Mostly John Cena, if you want to compare them of the two. You go back to 2008, you had guys like Bobby Lashley, MVP, the Hardys, Mr. Kennedy. Edge was active still. Batista was active still, and within those last 5 or 6 years, a lot of these guys have left. A lot of these guys have retired. A lot of these guys have moved on and left WWE to do bigger and better things. And within that, the year after year of these talents, dropping and leaving the company, WWE have not really brought up any new stars, to their level to fill in and replace those gaps and those voids. So now when you look at it now, where we are now here in November 2015, John Cena's out on injury. I'm sorry, not injury, but he's taking a break. Orton, Seth Rollins, Cesaro, unfortunately, as well, are out on injury. And you look at the roster, and to me, some people say that the roster is kind of thin. I don't think the roster is thin. It's just lacking star power. It's lacking that. It's not beefy. It's not beefy. The talent is there, but you just don't have that star power and that drawing force. Because a lot of their top guys, top mid card guys, are not here anymore right now. And it goes back to what I was saying. You never stop making stars. I don't know what the hell went on with WWE creative, what somewhere they thought in their mind that when a lot of their undercard, mid card guys started to leave between 2007 to 2010, and you had guys like Edge who had to force to retire, and Batista who walked away from the company, not really walked away, but left the company to do other things. Somewhere in their mind, they thought we can keep the company afloat. We're profitable. We can still do great things. It's come back to bite them in the ass. It's come back to bite them in the ass. Um, because I mean, it's more apparent now than ever that they just you look at the roster. I mean, Undertaker, God bless his soul, he's wrestled more this year than we have seen him in the last five years. But Undertaker, part timer, Kane, no one cares anymore. Big Show, no one definitely doesn't want to see anymore. Brock Lesnar, part timer. Sting, part timer, past his prime. Where is the star power? Now is the time to bring in a Chris Jericho that you so desperately need. Where the fudge is Rob Van Dam? We haven't seen Rob Van Dam in like what 2 years. Where the hell is he? He signed on a WWE contract. Where is Rob Van Dam? Bring in a Rob Van Dam right now. You need something. What the hell are you doing with your NXT talent that you're bringing from your developmental system, from your farm factory into the main roster? What the hell happened to the man that gravity forgot? More like the man that creative forgot. What the hell happened to the Ascension? As soon as they get on the roster, you shoot them dead. They don't even get their feet off the ground. What is going on? Bo Dallas, where the hell is he? Just a lot of these guys that they brought up, from the NXT, they've killed off before they can even get their feet off the ground. They shot these guys dead, or they're just kind of just keeping them afloat, and this is a problem. Neville right now should be wrestling should have enough investment and stock right now that he should be getting in a major feud with a Kevin Owens or a Del Rio over the U.S. or IC title belt right now. Dean Ambrose, they've done absolutely nothing with. He's the sore loser of the brand. The Wyatt family, they only build or they only use to elevate and build up their opponent. And once their opponent gets the upper hand and beats the Bray Wyatt or the Wyatt family, then they do nothing with the Wyatt family. So the Wyatt family only used as an enhanced talent. They use them to enhance storylines or to invest, other superstars or angles that they really want to invest in, and the Wyatts just lose all around. So they're only enhancement talent. So that's a problem there. Second problem, I think, with the WWE, creative. It starts off from the head. Now, for as much as we can blame creative team, which I think they deserve a lot of credit, at the end of the day, the final say goes to Vince McMahon. The bus starts and stops with Vinnie Mac. And when you have a man who is 70 years old, a guy who took the wrestling business, who killed the territories, went from killing the wrestling territories to making wrestling a part of pop culture and part of American pop culture, basically in the 80s. Took it from what it was from the 80s and being American pop culture and launched it into another stratosphere in the mid and late 90s. Saying in an interview in 2010 that he doesn't know what fans want anymore or what people want, that's a problem. That is a problem. And it's clearly apparent of the lack of leadership and creativity and behind the scenes, because that junk spills over onto the main shows. So I think that's a contributing factor. It's lack of creativity, lack of really wanting to go against the grain, do something new, do something different, do something innovative. It's like WWE have a thumb sticked up their ass, one thumb up their ass and the other up their pie hole, and they're just like, well, what do we do? I don't know what to do. So I think everyone in the office is out of touch. I've said it for so long. Keep the writing staff small and to a minimum. One of the reasons why NXT works, besides it being, 2 hours less than Raw, is that it's a small booking creative team. You got Triple H and you got like two or three writers that under Triple H. That's the booking team for NXT. That's why NXT works so well. WWE, you've got like over 20, 30 writers. If anything, between 20 to 30 writers, you would think that you should come up with like compelling storylines, great angles, but no, they can't. So I think that's the problem. Too many cooks in the kitchen, and then you have the head of the cook, the head chef himself, um, doesn't really know what to do. He's very out of touch. So that's a problem. A lot of people might not point this out, but I think it's a contributing factor to WWE overall in the entire product. Wrestling fans, I believe, are a bit to blame and have to take some blame for this as well. Here's why. Because you bitch and you complain about every single thing. Nitpick. Now, I'm not saying that, your complaints or your nitpicks aren't validated. I'm not saying that at all, because they are. I mean, if you see something that you don't like, or you're dissatisfied with a certain product, you have every right to complain about it. But my God, every single thing, to the point where, like, I've seen people, like, they wrestling fans, they dissect the smallest things and put it under a microscope, where it's like, damn, where's the enjoyment I get out of this? Because I'm just dissecting everything. At the end of the day, this is a fact. Every wrestler is not going to be a main eventer. Every wrestler is not going to be a world heavyweight champion. I'm sorry. Get it out of your mind. Every guy that comes from Ring of Honor, every guy that comes from Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, every guy that comes from through Chikara, New Pro Wrestling Japan, that goes through NXT and that comes up to the main roster, they're not going to be a world champion. That's the nature of the beast. That's how it's always been. At the end of the day, when it comes to wrestling and who gets to be in the top spot, you're only going to have about 5 to 6 main eventers. You want to be realistically honest, you go back to the Attitude Era. The only guys that were in the main event and was constantly in the main event and where the belt revolved around, Austin, Rock, Triple H, Kurt Angle in the late 90s, early 2000s. Every once in a while, they throw in an Undertaker, they throw in a Jericho, they throw in Mankind, or even a Kane. They throw them in the main event to mix things up a bit and to make things interesting, which is something that they don't do now. Whereas now WWE just kind of focus on like 2 key people and that's it. I think that's the major difference. But you take away some of those, guys that are, in the main event scene, that pop in the main event scene, in and out, like an Undertaker, Mankind, Kane, Jericho, or what have you. The main event was always consumed between Austin, Rock, Austin. Everyone's not going to be a world champion. I'm sorry. I called it with Adrian. I love Adrian Neville, love him to death. I called it. I said Adrian Neville will not be a main event star. You look at the guys that they have on the roster, and guys that they're interested in, guys like a Bray Wyatt, guys like Roman Reigns, guys like a Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, guys that have potential to be main eventers. Neville, not gonna happen. It's just it's not gonna happen for him. So I think that's a big problem. At the end of the day, I think wrestling fans have this thing in their mind that the company and everything should revolve around them. Now, I'm not saying that we don't have a voice. I'm not saying that we should voice our opinions on, our dissatisfaction with the WWE, because we pay the product, we pay our tickets, we buy the merchandise, we watch the show every week. They should do something for us. Making an investment in them, it is their right and their responsibility to invest back in us and being, making entertaining and compelling storylines. However, do not think that everything that WWE does should and always 110% should be based around what we feel and what we think about. Because if that was the case, a lot of companies around the world probably would not be successful at the end of the day if they were to listen to every single thing that the consumers had to say. I think it should be a balance. I think the fans should be able to we should be able to get what we want and see the people that we want on top. And WWE should be fair, and they should have, who they want on top. Everyone's not going to like a Roman Reigns. Everyone's not going to like a Daniel Bryan. Everyone's not going to like a Cesaro. That's why I say wrestling always needs a variety. People always bitch and moan, complain about guys like a Roman Reigns, or, because he's so handsome and he only has like 5 moves of doom and this and that. Wrestling needs a variety. You need your Roman Reigns, you need your Seth Rollins, you need your Dean Ambroses, you need your Kevin Owens, your Adrian Neville's, your Alberto Del Rios. You need a variety. You need someone for everybody. That's what makes wrestling fun. That was what made wrestling good in the 90s, early 2000s, mid 2000s. That's what wrestling should be always. You need a variety. And I think wrestling fans are very fickle. I think wrestling fans bitch about too much. I mean, so what? Roman Reigns, they want to make Roman Reigns the guy. We had our moment. We had our guy. We fought for Daniel Bryan 2 years ago. WWE caved in. We won the fight for that. We got Seth Rollins this year as WWE champion for 8 freaking months. Regardless of how great or terrible his championship run might have been, to each his own in their opinion, I didn't think it was that great. But I give them credit for sticking behind Seth Rollins and for believing in him. But he's another guy that we all love and adore that they made as world champion. So we had two guys, that we stuck behind and that we fought for. Well, we mostly fought for Bryan as being champion. Now WWE is saying, okay, well, we chose who you guys want. Now it's our turn. We want to put Roman Reigns as, the next WWE champion. We want to make him the next poster child. And you guys bitch and complain about it. It's like, it's kind of be a little bit fair. We had our turn. Let WWE have theirs. And at the end of the day, who cares if Roman Reigns is if he becomes the next poster child? If he becomes the replacement for John Cena, fine. I don't care. My only concern is don't repeat what you did with John Cena and just only focus on Roman Reigns for, a near decade and everyone else underneath him you pay little to no attention to, and you end up being in the same boat that you're in now 10 years later. Mix it up, that's my only thing. So I think wrestling fans also have to kind of like chill a bit and feel like that they are entitled to, you should put this guy in the main event. That guy shouldn't be in the main event because he doesn't do this and he's not enough of this. He hasn't been on the independent scene for 20 years. And trust me, I'm a guy, I'm going on 24. I've watched tons of guys come down through the pipe, the Cesaros, the CM Punks, the Seth Rollins, the Dean Ambroses, the Kevin Owens, come from ROH, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, Combat Zone Wrestling, Chikara, come up from those developmental systems, well, not developmental systems, but from those independent scenes and come up through NXT to WWE. I've seen these guys for years, or OVW, depending on, if referring to Punk. I've seen it. But that does not mean that, every one of these guys are going to come in and should, be world heavyweight champion. And everyone who comes in through the WWE farm system should just be cast aside. They're talentless. They suck. I can't be a fan of them. I'm only going to be a fan of guys that come in through the independent scene on up. Got to be a little bit, that's a little bit ridiculous. I think. So these are a couple of things, I had to get off my chest. I think that are valid. I think lack of creativity, lack of creating new stars, and I think fans being fickle and feel like they are entitled to put who they think should be in the main event and whatnot to make a world champion and who should be a star. I think and mostly fans just being fickle in general. WWE wrestling fans being fickle, I think, are all key factors in what's hurting the product in WWE now and why its viewership ratings are low. I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this. I really do. Make a response video. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment box below. Do yourself a favor, like this video, and give me your opinions. Comment, subscribe. Peace.